stand on what's right, what's true, and let the rest go. Well, preacher, they're not going to like you. So be it. Can I ask you a question? Has everybody you've ever met in your life liked you? If they did, you scare me. Everybody in this world has always found it a problem finding people that like them. Especially if you're going to take a stand for anything right. Now, if you want to blend in and compromise with everybody and try to make everybody like you, you can get the majority of the people to like you. Obama tried that game. Clinton tried that game. They want to blend in. They want as many people to like them. But you know what? They stood for nothing except compromise. They stood for nothing. There's no line in the sand that said, we're standing on this. We're not changing. This is it. No, doesn't happen that way. Matthew chapter 24, verse number 12. Very, very simple. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Without a doubt, we're living in the end of the closing hours before the rapture. And the question you need to challenge yourself when you read this, will your love for God grow cold as everybody around you sells God out? This ought to be a warning to every church. Every member ought to sit down and write this and think about it. Will I let the world convince me? Will I let the world show me? Because what happens is, people, the world veers one way. You know what the churches are doing? The churches are veering with them. See, used to the churches wanted to get as close to God as we can. Now we want to get as close to the world as we can, that we still have just a show of some more spirituality than the world has. It's the reason why we celebrate so many things of the world. Can't have church on Super Bowl Sunday night because everybody needs to stay and watch the Super Bowl. Why? You bow for my flag, I have no use for you. Well, it's a protest, so's mine. I'm coming to church. I protested. You know, somebody said, they have a right to do that. Yeah, and I have a right to spend my money where I spend it. NFL's not for long. They keep acting like that. NBA's right behind them. Pro sports has been closed for how long? Major League Baseball is fussing right now. They're going to have to take a cut in pay to come back. They don't want to, even though they've not played half the year. They want their same paycheck. Man, why not just go to work and work 4 hours and tell everybody I'm under contract, I want all 8. See how well that works for you. They think they're special. Why? They're athletes. Give them a body bag on their shoulder and let them go to combat for a little while, and I will think a little bit better about them. But you know what? Our churches follow suit with them. If you don't believe me, most churches will talk more about sporting events than they do about coming to the church during the week. We allow them to filter. I know a preacher friend of mine, I'm not picking on him, but I can tell you right now, if LSU wins, he's the happiest man in the world. If LSU loses, he's going to preach hell so hot, everybody's in a line at the water fountain. And he says, I know it's wrong, but it makes me so mad. Funny thing about Super Bowl night is free of charge. Don't cost you nothing. You're already here. Super Bowl night will have the most domestic violent cases on Super Bowl night than any night of the year. You got it. Because it's the most abusive night there is. Because they're so excited if they win and they're so adrenaline and beer drunk, they slap their spouse around. And if they lose, woe be unto the spouse and the children. But we embrace it. Church is dismissed for. Why? We're going with the world. I'll give you three main thoughts out of this. First, when you see in the very first phrase, the fact of sin saturation. It's exactly what it says. And because iniquity shall abound. Shall, it will. This is happening. We're beginning to see this right in front of our eyes. Now, I want to run this thought real quick, and I'm not going to drag this point out, but we got to get an understanding of, because you talk to a lot of people today, and we mentioned it this morning. Some people believe, well, the church is going through the tribulation period. Listen to me. Not so done it, as Brother Parker would say. What do you mean the church will not go through the tribulation period? I want to ask you three things real quick and give me an answer. If you read Revelation chapter 1, 2, and 3, I give you a hint. It's written to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. All follow me, right? Where does those first 3 chapters take place? Here, in this world. Church of Ephesus, Smyrna, Laodicea. Revelation chapter 4, John's caught up into heaven. So the very teaching there tells us that the church age ends when the church is called to glory and the Holy Spirit leaves. And that happens before the tribulation period starts, because the Antichrist is not released to Revelation chapter 6 and the church is already in heaven. How many of y'all agree with that? Second thing. You know why Noah built 120 years on that ark? So he'd be strong enough to hold that nail on the outside as he rode for 100 days on the outside of that ark, going into a full year. So preacher, you lost your mind. That's what they want you to believe if they believe we're going to go through the tribulation period. God called Noah into the ark and sealed the door, and it was 7 days later before the rain came. God's people will always be out before judgment of that magnitude falls. Sodom and Gomorrah. Was not Lot escorted out of town before the fire and brimstone fell? Yes, he was. So don't come telling me the church is going to go halfway through the tribulation period. Not so done it. It's another group that says the earth is going to keep getting better and better and better, and the Lord's going to come back and set his kingdom up. I call them idiots. Most people call them all-millennium. You know what all-millennium means? They'll believe about anything. People, is the world getting better? How many of y'all grew up and you never locked your doors for anything? Car door, house door, didn't lock nothing. Nothing. Why? First off, wasn't nobody going to act that way. And second off, if they did, it was abrupt and in a hurry was it judged. Nowadays, they'll break in your house. They'll kick in the front door with you sitting there. They don't care. But we're getting better and better, and crime is going down to nothing. Then why are drive-by shootings skyrocketing through the roof? Absolutely nuts. Crime's not going down, people. Crime is becoming more violent. What's going down is we don't arrest all those that commit crimes now. How many of them? Well, we won't arrest you. You go home, be a good boy. The next thing you know, a month later, they commit a violent crime. It happens all the time. Because we don't prosecute them. We let them go and go and go. And then they do something drastic after they've already been charged or could have been charged 5 or 6 times, often is the case. So it's not getting better, so don't even buy into that. Notice, the Bible tells us that iniquity shall abound, and we're there. Can you sell a product in America without sex or perversion? You must not. If you can, I ain't seen it. It doesn't matter what it is. Sex has to be tied to it. One of the toilet paper companies figured out they can't sell toilet paper unless they have gay people on it. I'd use a Sears Roebuck catalog first. Wouldn't dare use it. But we live in a society where we embrace perversion in sex. It's unreal. The commercials are sickening. But you know what? That's the world we live in. And the church is seeing it, and the church is allowing it to affect their barometer. It affects their direction.